Hey, it's about that time. Yes, thank you for joining our Let's Just Talk About It podcast. We are here to do just that, talk about it. This is the premier place to have a listening ear to some amazing topics and discussions, phenomenal guests that will push you to consider the power of change. Yup. What's change got to do with it? A whole lot, my people. Nothing is off the table. Y'all ready? Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Let's Just Talk About It, Instagram at Dr. K. Mischele Watson, and on Twitter, Dr. K. Mischele Watson. I absolutely know you're going to enjoy our time. So let's get straight into it. Well, hey, this is Dr. K. Mischele Watson. Welcome to our Sunday edition of Let's Just Talk About It. I'm so excited to have you here. As you know what I do, I talk about the amazing power of change. And we know that saying, the only thing constant is change. So as we get, into the groove, into this vibe of understanding how important it is that we walk in the fullness of change, right? And everything that we say and do, it will become as easy as breathing. Changing won't be such a challenge, right? And the whole concept of our podcast is to be changed beyond the challenge. Well, you know how I do. I like to take the time to thank the most important people that helped to make this podcast possible. Kratos Media, my executive producers that do a phenomenal job. My intro and outro music by none other than the Grammy Award nominated Dr. Ronnie Song. It is absolutely phenomenal to have such amazing partners in this work, So we only have a little bit of time together tonight, and I want to talk about something that I've gotten a lot of feedback on. I've got a lot of comments, and I wanted to take another moment to come back around and have this conversation because I talked a little bit about it in between my season 1 and 2 when we were on a little break because I was getting so many comments about it. And that is, tonight we get to talk about being changed beyond the challenge when it comes to co-parenting. Co-parenting, right? I am so invested in helping people to be effective at co-parenting, how to be able to move beyond the challenges of children being in two different households. And, many of the conversations that I have had with parents often are, I want to frame this in the right perspective, but they've been challenged because at one time they were in great relationships, and then now they're not in great relationships for a multitude of reasons. But in the middle of that is a child or children, right? And the struggle to try to maintain parenting a child or children when the parents are no longer seeing eye to eye becomes the biggest challenge. But here, I'm going to tell you a couple of things, and I want you to hear me, and I want you to hear me well, because co-parenting is something that can be done effectively. It can be done very well. It can be done with the children or the child as the priority when both parents on both ends put aside their own childish behaviors. Now, how can a child be a child if the parent's going to be the child too? It just doesn't work like that, right? You've got to have some, real tough discussions with each other and amongst yourself, right? Where you're going to have to put on your big girl panties and your big boy boxers and say, you know what? At one time we made it work between us, and now we have to make it work again with different circumstances for the children, for the child. And oftentimes where I find the biggest challenge is in communication, right? Communication is the biggest part of the downfall of being able to co-parent effectively. Why? It's because often both sides only want to hear what they want to hear, right? They don't want to hear how the other person feels. They don't want to understand, how the other one is seeing things through a different lens. And what ultimately happens is the child is impacted by it. And if you love your child as much as you say you love your child, you have to make a very concerted decision that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work in the best interest of my child, even if my own feelings are hurt as a result of it. Right? And what I find in the efforts of co-parenting, it always seems like one parent may be doing more than the other parent, and for a multitude of different reasons. But at some point, you have to change the trajectory of what you believe in your co-parent role to be impacted solely and completely because of the child. Okay, because here are a couple of examples. And actually, I got some of these examples from some personal experience, and I've gotten some of these examples from people that have reached out to me in my message box. So, sometimes two parents may struggle because of work schedules, right? Sometimes two parents may be at conflict because one is more financially stable than the other. Sometimes parents are in conflict because one parent doesn't want the child to see another parent's partner or new partner, whether it's male or female, and they don't want them to be a part of that. You have to get to a point in your life where it's always going to be in the best interest of the child. And the thing that is the most challenging is because you no longer see eye to eye. But that is neither here nor there. You have to decide, I'm going to put my feelings on the shelf, I'm going to put my feelings on the back, and I'm going to think about how to best serve my child. Now, what that may mean is that you may have to adjust your work schedule. What that means is that you may have to adjust your sleep schedule. What that means is you may have to adjust your time with your other friends. And all of those are three important reasons why co-parenting is often a bigger struggle, because one parent wants to do it and the other parent is not willing to do it. I'm not going to say doesn't want to do it. I'm going to say not willing to do it. Because the want may be there. I want to be there for my child. I want to be there for my child. But you're not willing to do all that needs to be done in order to make sure that that child is the priority. Now, is there a such thing as 50-50 parenting? I don't believe there's any instance of 50-50 parenting. I only believe in parenting. And I know we say co-parenting, but the term we use very loosely because we've got two parents that have to do the job of one parent. And if you can kind of understand what I'm saying there, the two become one when it comes to parenting the child. And so the more you work and focus on making sure that the child is always the priority, the easier it will become to making sure that their needs are being met. And that means that financially, you're just going to have to, kick up some money and make sure, that their needs are being met, or come to a decision on, what the child can do right now and what the child can't do right now. But you both do it with the thought in mind of, okay, it might not be a good time right now, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen later. And the more that you focus on that area in that relationship and co-parenting, it means that you will begin to create opportunities to ensure that the best needs are being met. And it takes work. It is not something that actually happens overnight. It is a constant effort to do better, constant effort to challenge yourself, constant effort to say what I need to do in my child's life is my priority. And the more we talk about priorities, the more we'll help each other to realize that we do have the capacity to make it work for their good, right? We do have that capacity, right? And we've just got to make sure that in our own feelings, you understand what I'm saying? We are not allowing that to take precedent over anything else for the child. Now, there's a lot of conversation that we're going to have about co-parenting. And this is just the beginning of our part 1. I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about it and how we're going to dive a little deeper into this conversation. But make sure you check me out every Sunday at 8 p.m. on my YouTube channel, Let's Just Talk About It with Dr. K. Mischele Watson. And we'll see you again for part 2. Well, everyone, that's all we got time for right now, but we'll keep the conversations moving and topics flowing. Join us for a new episode every Sunday at 8 p.m. for Let's Just Talk About It. Don't miss it, and don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We'll always have a little something for you if you do. I'm your host, Dr. K. Mischele Watson, and I'll see you on our next episode. Be blessed.